Now, there are some things we didn't talk about when it comes to modifying an AR for personal or home defense. We didn't talk about bipods, because bipods are irrelevant. You're not going to want to put a bipod on a defensive firearm that's going to be used close range, personal home defense. Quite frankly, even at long range, a bipod isn't really going to help this situation all that much. If you were in a situation where you needed to defend yourself from 100 yards away, throwing a pack down, going into the prone, being able to throw the fore end of the gun down onto that pack is going to give you a lot of stability. Now, of course, you can upgrade these to a .308 caliber, 7.62 by 51 type caliber, and be in a situation where, yeah, you can reach out with an AR family firearm and still defend yourself under some extreme circumstances. But for the most part, that's really not what we're talking about. There will be other things you come across, things like wedges, devices that you can put inside a lower receiver to tighten up the action of the firearm. Personally, I've never seen any use for them. Makes it a little harder to get the gun together, get the gun apart when it comes time for cleaning and maintenance, and there are potentially some reliability issues there. It's not something you need to worry about. There are, I'm sure, countless other modifications that you'll come across, things that no one uses anymore, things that haven't been invented yet, and a lot of things in between. What I focused on were the modifications that I think do make a lot of sense. Modifications to your points of contact. Remember, we talked about the grip. Of course, one of the first things we did was modify the stock. We put a plate on that allowed us to attach a sling, and we talked a lot about the fore end and potential foregrips or even using the front of the magwell. What I didn't mention specifically was that when you talk about using the magwell as one of your points of contact, don't use the magazine itself. Using the magazine itself can affect the reliability of the system. That magazine needs to be able to move. It's another reason you don't want to rest the gun on that magazine and apply upward pressure should you find yourself in a lowered or prone position. We also talked about the sling, your point of attachment when you're not actually going to be in a shooting configuration or a ready configuration. My ready configuration, of course, is going to be 3 points of contact: my body, control hand, support hand, and then my shooting position is going to be bringing the firearm up into that shooting position. That's a 4th point of contact on the cheek. But, of course, there may be a time when the firearm's just hanging. I'm going to want a sling that allows me to quickly know where my firearm is, get to that control hand, get to my body position, get up to that 4th point of contact, and shoot when I need to as efficiently as possible. We might go to a 2-point sling configuration. Of course, we could take this off. We can use one of our sling additions to put it onto a rail. Make sure that we attach it, and we can go to a 2-point sling with this configuration. This is an adjustable sling from 1 point to 2 point, and have that administrative carry option. But as I said, I really do prefer that single-point sling for your close quarters, home defense type situations, because primarily it allows you to move the firearm around as much as you need to, get into a compromised close quarters position if someone tries to get the firearm from you, and make it easy for you to transition over to the weak side to go around a corner or to use cover appropriately when it's on the strong side of your body by transitioning to the weak side. So we looked at the sling, and again, I think this one is a great option. We looked at optics. We talked about getting away from the iron sights, the traditional iron sights that came with the first generation and second generation M4s and ARs, M16s. When we got up to the M4 situation where we have a flat top, we have rail guns, we have a more modern configuration, we're still going to want to have iron sights on there. There's a variety of different types of iron sights. A lot of them will fold down. Some of them are fixed, and it's going to be just like our fixed sight. We're going to put that on the front. And that's an option for us if we do have the flat firearm, but we still want those reliable iron sights. Talked about red dot optics. Probably going to be your best choice for a defensive firearm, especially close range, rapid shooting. There are a lot of different types, a lot of different brands, some different things you want to look for. When you mount, you want to make sure that all of your mounts, all of your clamps, everything that you configure is going to be tight, going to be reliable. And if you can, especially with an optic like this, get 2 points of contact there instead of just 1. We talked a little bit about the fore end and the foregrip. We talked about wrapping your rails. If you do have exposed rail areas that you're not going to be mounting things on, we talked about putting soft or hard plastic covers on them so that you don't have sharp edges under stress. This also is going to give you more to hold on to, more tactile stimulation there so you know you're in the right place. Some people like the vertical foregrips. Of course, this one has a laser and a white light integrated into it. We also have the newer angled foregrip, which gives you more purchase on the front of the firearm. Wrapping your thumb over versus pointing your thumb down the gun. A lot of different options here. Your personal preference will dictate your modifications in that area. And of course, we talked about having a white light. This particular light also integrates a laser. This white light is on the side of the gun, doesn't integrate a laser, and we have a pressure switch for it instead of a toggle switch. These are the most important modifications when we look at the gun from afar. When we get close, one of the first things we talked about was this battery assist device. The battery assist device, or BAD lever, is a great option that will allow you to run the gun more consistently without having to take your hand off of the controls. Your control hand, whenever possible, should be here integrating with the lower receiver just like you want it to. Whether the gun's running or not at that moment, this is a stronger, more consistent grip, and of course as soon as I can get it back running, I'm going to be able to shoot faster if my hand stays here in this position. So I really like that lever as a real easy, simple modification you can do on your own. And of course the oversized charging handle. That's another one of our closer in details you may not notice. We're going to use that charging handle this way with our hand, or even come up here and hook. That's going to be much more reliable, much easier to do under stress because it's got much more surface area. And of course there are other ones that are even larger that are available. Other things you might want to look at, ambidextrous safety modifications, a safety that can go on either side of the firearm, not only for a left-handed person, but primarily when we think about switching and transitioning. If I were in a ready position, I don't want to have to use my trigger finger for that safety. It'd be great to have an ambidextrous safety here that I can also use with my weak hand as I bring the gun from a ready position, click, up to a shooting position. Modifying the AR is something that you literally could spend a lifetime doing. There are a lot of different companies that offer a lot of different great products. There are also some products out there that are specifically made for niche uses. Certain types of law enforcement, military activities, maybe certain types of activities that do or do not apply to you in your defensive situation. So think hard before you say, hey, that guy is using that, I think I want to get one. It may be a great product for you, it may be something that he uses because he has a specialty situation, or it may be something that really has no application for you or a defensive AR in general. A lot of different options out there. Think about the things we've talked about on this DVD. Think about modifying your AR to be as efficient as possible for your personal or home defense.
Thanks for watching this edition of the Personal Fire